Colin Kaepernick compares the NFL to slavery. I'm here to tell you he's completely removed from reality, or he's been hit in the head far too many times. Human trafficking is modern slavery, and it's a real problem. Victims of human trafficking are sold for sex, have high suicide rates, post-traumatic stress disorder, debilitating depression, sleeping and eating disorders, forced drug addiction, oftentimes have sexually transmitted diseases, and experience horrendous acts in front of their eyes. 75% of UNLV students believe human trafficking is a problem within the United States. According to the Nevada Coalition to Prevent the Commercial Sexual Exploitation of Children, in 2017, quote, Nevada ranked 10th in the nation for the number of human trafficking cases reported to the National Human Trafficking Hotline, end quote. With my research, I hope to shed light on the problem and also clear up any misunderstandings or myths held about the topic. Human trafficking is happening right now in the United States, and especially in our own backyard of Las Vegas, at an alarming rate that the public is not aware of. With awareness, we can begin to benefit the cause by making it a more known societal problem. Some of the problems that are contributing to human trafficking are lack of awareness, certain risk factors, and the inability to recognize warning signs. So let's talk about some of the main points I've already mentioned, and we can dive into what they entail. I've been mentioning the word awareness, but what does this really mean? Spreading awareness is also known as advocating. When we advocate, we give others without a voice a chance to be heard. And right now, human rights is a buzzword, and it's seen in society in many different areas. One of the areas that I don't think it's concentrated enough on, and there's not enough known about, is human trafficking. It's with my hope that listening to my voice, you will hear theirs, and it will lead to discussions that in turn lead to change. We can alleviate some of the misconceptions associated with human trafficking with factual information. First of all, what is human trafficking? How is it modern-day slavery, or also known as forced labor? The Department of Homeland Security defines and says, quote, forced labor occurs when individuals are compelled to provide work or service through the use of force, fraud, or coercion. This happens both in the United States and overseas. Victims rarely come forward to seek help because they may be unable to escape their environment, are too vulnerable to seek assistance, potential language barriers may exist, or they do not self-recognize as a victim, end quote. As you can see, forced labor comes in many forms, and it's not just sex trafficking. Polaris Project, a non-profit organization, compiled data from the National Human Trafficking Hotline in 2019. They posted on their website, polarisproject.org. They said, in the U.S., 22,326 people were rescued from human trafficking. There was also a 19% increase in individual victims and survivors contacting the trafficking hotline. So, what's sad is we can only measure the numbers that come forward. And obviously we don't have a good grasp on that because the unreported cases, we don't know how many there are. So it doesn't give you a good picture. In Nevada, the Las Vegas advisors explained Clark County Department of Family Services had admittedly only began trafficking sex victims in 2017. So that alone should incite enough emotion to elicit some action. Now that we've discussed the realities that lead to becoming a victim, factors that have been identified with increased susceptibility are challenges with mental health, substance abuse, runaways or those that are homeless, recent migration are some of the main factors that are causing those to be recruited into forced labor. So what do all these what do all these factors have in common? Well, that's that these individuals are able to be preyed on by predators. They are manipulated into becoming human trafficked. Where are some of these victims found? The Department of Homeland Security website posts information from ICE, or also known as Immigration and Customs Enforcement, saying, quote, victims have been found in communities nationwide in the agriculture, hospitality, restaurant, domestic, other industries, as well as prostitution that is facilitated online, on the street, or in businesses fronting for prostitution such as massage parlors, end quote. So solutions for victims. What can we do to help these victims? Well, if we look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we know that at the bottom level of the foundation are basic needs such as shelter, food, water. If we can start to provide resources for these individuals, then they have a better ability to focus on climbing that hierarchy of needs and hopefully reaching self-actualization, or at least having goals to be outstanding citizens and uphold a normal life. So one of these examples is Caesars Entertainment. They've joined the effort to Southern Nevada populace, and they're going to help by starting a shared future fund. This is unlike anything of its kind, and it's focused on children and adults, and the main focus is to, instead of simply providing resources to the private foundation of their choice, they are actually creating a foundation where they are looking at long-term benefit for children and adults, and over time they will allocate money towards getting them resources to meet their basic needs, find goals, jobs, etc. So hopefully over time we'll see that improves Nevada's southern populace. How can you recognize when you see a human trafficking victim? Well, Deliver Fund, a non-profit organization that fights against human trafficking, posted on their Instagram page signs to look out for when recognizing victims within the hospitality industry specifically. Things to recognize are guests showing things like malnourishment, poor hygiene, fatigue, sleep deprivation, untreated illnesses, injuries, and unusual behavior in these guests. These individuals lack freedom. They're always monitored. They cannot move without anybody knowing where they're going or watching them. Oftentimes they're dressed inappropriately, or their clothing is not as nice as those that they're either with or in the environment that they're in. When frequenting hotels, oftentimes they do not request hospitality. They ask for extra linens. There's multiple computers, cell phones, pagers, credit cards, other technologies are found within the rooms of the individuals. Oftentimes they're in extended stay rooms with few or no possessions. Victims are loitering and soliciting male patrons or asking staff for food. As tactics, they are trained to retrieve receipts from their male solicitors that they leave in order to gauge how much money that they can extract from that individual. So we've discussed many things in human trafficking. Some statistics with how large the problem is, risk factors that are associated, how we can recognize a victim, and hopefully this will have elicited enough emotion in you to incite anger, at least, and to start discussing, which will then lead to change. With awareness, we can begin to benefit the cause by making it of a more known societal problem. Thank you.